Hello everyone and welcome to my B&B Fan Club channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Luna had always been a shadow in the glittering world of Los Angeles high society. Her life a delicate web of secrets and broken dreams woven into the fabric of the bold and the beautiful Salite. Born under a cursed moon in a forgotten corner of the city, she was the illegitimate daughter of a powerful magnate whose name was heard in boardrooms and tabloids alike. But power came at a cost, and Luna's price was isolation, abuse, and a descent into madness that landed her in a maximum security prison on the outskirts of the desert. For years she rotted in a cell that reeked of despair and bleach, her mind shattering like glass under the weight of betrayal. The guards whispered about her, the once promising designer, now a specter plodding in the dark. Escape was more than just survival for Luna. It was a venomous promise to reclaim what had been taken from her heart. The night of her escape was a chaotic symphony. A storm raged outside the prison walls, lightning cracking like whips against the sky, drowning out the distant rumble of a stolen delivery truck. Luna had bribed a guard with secrets more valuable than gold, details about his own embezzlement, which she had overheard in the warden's office. As alarms rang and floodlights illuminated the yard, she slipped through a weakened fence, her prison jumpsuit torn and muddy, a makeshift knife clutched in her trembling hand. Freedom tasted of blood and rain. She vanished into the night, a ghost reborn, her first target imprinted on her soul. Ridge Forrester, the man who had orchestrated her downfall. Ridge was the eternal heartthrob of Forrester Creations, the designer whose name was synonymous with luxury and excess. To the world he was a rock of strength, a father, a lover, and a genius whose sketches spawned empires of silk and sequins. But to Luna, he was the architect of her misery. Ridge had seduced her years ago, in a secret affair shrouded in the fog of passion and ambition, a young intern with bigger dreams than her station. She had recently graduated from design school, and her portfolio was filled with innovative patterns inspired by lunar phases, which served as symbols of her elusive beauty. Ridge saw both potential and vulnerability. Their nights in the dimly lit ateliers became a blur of stolen kisses and whispered promises. Luna believed he loved her and that their connection was predestined. She poured her heart and soul into a secret collection for him, dyeing fabrics in midnight blues and silvers, with each stitch representing a vow of forever. Ridge, however, lived in a world of divided loyalties. Brooke Logan, his eternal flame, loomed large, her siren call drawing him back repeatedly. Ridge panicked when Luna found out she was pregnant with the heir to his creative legacy. The Forresters could not afford scandal. Their empire relied on perfection, not illegitimacy. Ridge denied everything during a cold boardroom meeting, with Eric Forrester's stern gaze on him. He accused Luna of fabrication, stalking, and theft, claiming she had taken designs from the company vaults. The evidence was planted, witnesses were hired, and Luna was arrested for corporate espionage and fraud. Her child, barely formed in her womb, was miscarried due to the stress of the trial, leaving her hollow. Ridge never paid a visit or sent a word. He went on to marry Brooke in a lavish ceremony broadcast to millions, while Luna was sentenced to 20 years in prison, and her dreams were buried in a cell-block grave. Luna, now free and feral, followed him to the Forrester mansion, perched on the hills like a crown of thorns. She had changed her appearance, with her hair cut short and dyed raven black, and her features sharpened by hardship and hatred. She infiltrated the event while disguised as a caterer for a gala celebrating Ridge's latest triumph. The ballroom sparkled with chandeliers and champagne flutes, and guests dressed in gowns that mocked her prison garb. Ridge stood in the center, charismatic as ever, toasting to innovation, while Brooke clutched his arm, her smile a mask of eternal youth. Luna's heart pounded, not with fear, but with a deep sorrow that drowned out the orchestral swell. She cornered him in the garden, away from prying eyes, beneath a canopy of jasmine that scented the air with false sweetness. "Ridge," she whispered, her voice raspy from disuse. He turned, confusion flashing through his blue eyes, and recognition dawned like a nightmare. "Luna? Impossible. You're..." His words choked as she pressed the knife against his throat, the blade glinting in the moonlight. But this wasn't a quick execution. Luna's vengeance was a slow unraveling, a sad tapestry of truth. "You took everything," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. mixing with the rain that had followed her out of the prison. My designs became your luminous legacy collection. The world applauded you while I bled in chains. Ridge's face paled, memories flooding back. He had indeed repurposed her sketches, transforming them into his own glory and erasing her name to safeguard his legacy. It was business, Luna. You were a mistake. Those words sparked her rage, but beneath it lay an ocean of sorrow. She did not kill him yet. Instead, she forced him to confess, recording everything on a hidden device. As sirens sounded in the distance, someone had spotted her. She slashed his hand, a symbolic wound that mirrored the scar on her own palm from their first illicit touch. Luna, fleeing into the night, did not celebrate her victory. Revenge hollowed her out even more. She sought refuge in a dilapidated motel on the city's outskirts, the kind where dreams go to die. She was alone with flickering neon signs buzzing like angry bees, and the sadness consumed her. She relived the moments. Ridge's laughter once brightened her world. The ultrasound image of their lost child crumpled in her prison cell. Why had love turned into hate? She cried for the girl she was, innocent and hopeful, creating beauty out of pain. The world of the bold and the beautiful continued on without her, with Steffi scheming, Hope plotting, and Liam forever torn, while she became the villain in her own tragedy. Days turned into weeks as Luna avoided capture, her path a zigzag of motels and stolen cars. She reached out to old allies, only to discover they were ghosts. Taylor Hayes, Ridge's ex, whom Luna had once confided in, was now in denial, her psychiatric practice serving as a fortress against the past. Luna broke into Taylor's office on a stormy night, searching through files for leverage. Instead, she found her own medical records, which had been doctored to portray her as unstable and dangerous. Taylor had testified against her, swayed by Ridge's charisma. The betrayal cut deeper than steel. Luna left a note that read, "You healed others but broke me." There was no violence, only the weight of unspoken sorrow. Her journey led her to Brooke's beach house, a haven of sunsets and secrets. Brooke, the ultimate survivor, had clawed her way through heartbreaks, but her involvement in Luna's downfall was complicit. Brooke was aware of the affair and urged Ridge to keep it private in order to protect their family. Luna watched from the dunes as Brooke walked along the beach, her silhouette etched against the waves. Luna approached Ridge in a moment of raw vulnerability, carrying a recording of his confession rather than a weapon. "Listen," she implored, her voice breaking. Brooke's eyes widened in horror before softening with regret. For a brief moment, empathy bridged the gap. Brooke whispered, "I was scared. We all were." But fear gave way to self-preservation. She called security and Luna fled again, the sand swallowing her footprints like forgotten promises. Luna's sadness grew deeper as she thought about her isolation. Prison had deprived her of humanity, but freedom revealed its absence. She fantasized about the child she never had, a boy or girl who could have inherited Ridge's talent and resilience. She sketched feverishly in a derelict warehouse near the docks, creating designs born of loss, gowns draped in veils of mist and memory. These were not for vengeance but for redemption, a silent protest against the pain. However, the world of fashion was unforgiving. Her name was poison, and her face appeared on wanted posters. Ridge's stepdaughter, Hope Logan, became an unwitting pawn in Luna's demise. Hope's pure-hearted designs at Hope for the Future represented Luna's lost innocence. Luna broke into her studio, posing as a seamstress. Working late nights, she whispered doubts into Hope's ear. Stories of paternal betrayal and empires founded on lies. Hope, torn between loyalty and truth, confronted Ridge, further fracturing the family. But Luna's interference backfired. Hope saw through the facade and recognized Luna's desperation. "You're not a monster," Hope said softly, offering Luna a tissue to wipe her tears. "You're just broken." These words pierced Luna's armor, eliciting a flood of tears. For the first time she admitted her loss, the miscarriage, and the empty nursery in her mind. Hope listened, her own sorrows mirroring Luna's, abandonment and unrequited love. In that vulnerable exchange, Luna saw a different path. However, the law closed in. Brooke tipped off detectives, who raided the studio. Luna fled, her sketches scattering like leaves in the wind. She was eventually apprehended and taken back to prison, but not before sending the recording to every major media outlet. The scandal erupted. Ridge's empire trembled, sponsors fled, and the bold and the beautiful's facade crumbled. Ridge, haunted by guilt, went to her cell. "Forgive me," he begged, his voice cracking. Luna, now behind bars, looked at him with eyes empty of hatred and filled only with sorrow. "There's nothing left to forgive. You've taken it all." In her final days of freedom, Luna's story became a whisper among the elite, a cautionary tale of love's dark side. She wrote letters from captivity, not for vengeance but for healing, urging women to guard their hearts in a world full of Forsters and Logans. Her unique sadness stemmed from the irony. Revenge revealed not justice, but the depth of loss. The child is gone, the designs have been stolen, and love has been poisoned. All of this echoes in an empty chamber. Ridge's revelation demolished his pedestal, but Luna remained the true prisoner, bound by grief's unbreakable bonds. Luna's footsteps left a hollow echo on the cold tiles, each one a hammered reminder of everything she had lost. The high walls loomed above, soaked in bitter memories, but tonight they were powerless. She had slipped the guard's watch, the locks, and the chains that bound her body, but never her spirit. As she scaled the final barrier, the razor wire glinted in the moonlight. Rain slicked her hair and plastered her face, but she welcomed the sting. Water on her skin was nothing compared to what she had experienced inside. She remembered the ones who had sent her here. Betrayal, broken promises, and half-truths that cut deeper than any sentence. Her heart was still raw with longing for the world she had been ripped away from. Marisol, her sister, had fewer letters, her handwriting trembled, and she had stopped writing entirely. There was her father, whose eyes she saw every time she closed hers, hollowed with grief she couldn't bear. There was the friend who had become a stranger, and the lover who had turned away just as she needed him the most. Outside, Luna stood dripping on the slick pavement, the prison lights fading behind her like memories she tried to block out. The world seemed too big and alive. The sky shook with distant thunder, and she shivered. She tasted salt in the wind, the stench of wet asphalt, and most importantly, freedom. She didn't go home. Not yet. The road was long and she needed time. She needed some breathing room to remember who she was. So Luna walked into the empty hours, the hours that belonged solely to her, passing by street lamps that cast yellow halos on puddles. Her thoughts were constantly drawn to one person in particular. One person had orchestrated her downfall, framed her, and abandoned her to rot within these walls. Elena Thorne. She was the first. Her betrayal had cut through every promise they had made, including friendship, love, and trust. Elena had been more than a friend. She had been Luna's rock in a world that never showed mercy. Yet she had been the wind that pushed Luna into the storm. Luna recalled Elena's gentle and laughter-filled smile, followed by a whispered sentence behind closed doors that tipped the world on its axis. False accusations, forgeries, and lies poured like poison into courts and hearts alike. Luna, naive, believed Elena's explanations, even as her own life unraveled. Luna paused beneath a skeletal tree. The rain had subsided into a mist, and a small bench sat beneath its phantom veil. She sank into it and shivered. The anguish pressed against her chest. Regret, despair, rage. She wished she had been stronger, less trusting. But pity had never helped her. She remembered the dawn in that cell, with light filtering through the barred window and creating diamonds on the stone floor. She had clung to the light. Perhaps that is where she first died. Perhaps that is where her belief in justice faded. Tonight, as the clouds rolled low and thunder rumbled in the distance, Luna felt something else stirring. Sorrow, not hatred. Sorrow for what once was, for what might have been. She had once loved and revered Elena. She had expected Elena to support her. Instead, Elena stabbed from behind. The bench groaned under the weight of her memories. She tightened her coat, letting the mist obscure her vision. The city breathed around her with distant horns, soft sirens, and the drone of passing vehicles. Nothing belonged to her yet. Elena's eyes that night were red with determination and cold with ambition, she recalled. Luna had watched in disbelief as Elena stood in court and spoke the words that would destroy her. And the judge, who wore pity like a too large coat, read the sentence. Luna's hands, once delicate and confident, were now stained. She had always expected revenge to feel like salvation. Instead, it was a bitter meal swallowed in darkness. She rose from the bench, her legs stiff from years spent in cramped quarters. She moved again through trash-filled alleys and empty yards where only crows watched. Each step took her away from the prison, but closer to Elena and the reckoning that churned in her chest. She discovered Elena in the old manor house she used to visit, now empty, burned by scandal, abandoned by society, but still hers despite all. The light glowed behind drawn curtains, and Elena moved silhouette-like behind the glass. The same face that had smiled at Luna was also the face that condemned her. Luna approached the door as the clouds parted and rain fell with renewed urgency. She paused, her hand trembling on the door handle. She could push through, enter, or confront. She could demand apologies, tears, and justice. Or she could go with something darker. When the door opened, Elena stood there, fragile in a silk robe scented with perfume and fear. Her eyes widened. "Luna," she said with a brittle voice. Luna looked at her intently. The woman who ruled Luna's world and created the axis around which Luna revolved. Now she appeared smaller, exhausted, and haunted. Elena's face was carved with lines of guilt. "I'm free," Luna stated. She didn't inquire as to Elena's well-being. She was already aware. Elena tried to take a step back. I never meant." "You did," Luna replied. The word fell flat, but it was true. Elena's lip trembled. "I thought you were lost. They told me you were guilty." "They lied," Luna said softly but forcefully. Elena's eyes glistened with tears. "I believed them. And nothing changed." Luna continued. For years she had practiced this moment. What would she say? What she would cry about? What she would demand? But the words slipped. "You took everything." Elena's knees trembled. "I didn't, how could I?" "Don't say it." Luna's voice cracked. "Don't try to pretend ignorance if you wrote the script." Storm rumbled overhead. Luna held a small photograph in her hand, with yellowed edges. She held it out. A younger Luna and Elena, arms around each other, laughter frozen on film. Elena's throat worked. "I used to believe in us." "Luna, I listen." "You betrayed me," Luna said quietly, the weight of all nights alone pressing down. "I spent years thinking about you. You did this at that exact moment." Elena's face fell into tears. Moonlight streams through wet branches. She reached out, but Luna moved back. It had gotten to this point, not just anger but distance. Luna raised her hand and dropped the photograph, allowing it to flutter to the ground like a dying bird. The paper landed face down between them. "I want you to know how it felt," Luna said, her voice rising in sorrow. "To wake up and wonder if your life was real. To beg every god you knew for the truth. To count the days until someone remembered you." Elena's breath came in quick bursts. The words stuck in her throat. Luna turned to leave. The manor door swung closed behind her. The rain chased her across the yard, soaking her already wet body. She did not look back. The wind whispered Elena's name. Luna let it fade. She walked into the darkness. This meeting had been the first step in her revenge, her claim to justice. There'd be more consequences. But vengeance wouldn't bring back her sister's letters, her father's silent dinners, or the laughter they used to share. Luna's heart ached for the things she couldn't fix. She had exacted her revenge, but only in the most painful way, by tearing away Elena's illusions and showing her what guilt looked like in the mirror. She came to a halt near the river, where water flowed over stones and pulled at fallen leaves. She knelt and put her hands in the cold. The river carried the fragments of memory away. Her voice, Elena's promises, and their shared dreams. Luna's tears mingled with rain. She allowed herself to grieve, for the trust she placed, for the innocence she lost, and for love turned poison. Those were also lost to the river. She stood, shoulders trembling, dawn approaching on the horizon. The sky became gray, then pale pink, tinged with sadness and relief. Luna watched as night turned into day. In the light, she saw Elena's distorted and fractured reflection on the water's surface. For a moment, she wondered how much remorse could wash away the guilt. She walked away with her back turned, chin lifted, without looking back. The first act of vengeance had been carried out. The rest lay ahead. Self-rebuilding, reclaiming life, and healing wounds so raw that silence screamed. Luna moved forward, her sadness like a scar. Not hidden but open. A promise to never let her identity be stolen again. Her heart was heavy, but it beat with strength. The road stretched ahead, long and uncertain, but it was hers.